So I went and seen Spider-Man Far From Home 2 days ago, and this was one of my really high anticipated movies that I had on my list for seeing this year and that I really wanted to see. Straight off the bat, I want to say that I really did like the movie and I had a lot of fun watching it. I'm really glad that I went and seen it. It was well worth the money to go and see it. Definitely going to be buying it on Blu-ray or 4K when it comes out. Now, I did have some issues with the movie, I will say that, and I will give my, what I would give it out of 10 probably at the end of this video. But the first thing that I want to say was, as a huge Marvel fan, and I just want to say quickly and firstly that it was very, very sad to not have got to see Stan Lee in this movie, and I know there's going to be so many everybody else is going to be thinking the same. So that was sad for me. But yes, moving on to a happier note, I wanted to also quickly say something that I noticed as a reference that was in this movie that I thought was really cool that I wanted to bring up was Ned, who of course is, Peter Parker's friend. I can't remember the exact sentence, but he had pretty much said about somebody having aquatic powers, and he was basically referencing Namor, who Marvel have actually been talking for a good while now, saying that they actually want to do a movie about Namor. So yeah, that's probably sort of like a hint to us that that is going to be happening, which I think would be actually really cool. So that kind of really excited me. When I watched the trailers, I thought that Mysterio looked really cool, and I thought, wow, Jake Gyllenhaal is a great actor. I love him in Prince of Persia because I love Prince of Persia. I love playing the game on the Xbox. So I was really excited to see Prince of Persia, and he's the lead in it, and he was fantastic. Jake Gyllenhaal in this movie, I am sorry, but this is my opinion, I actually find him the least interesting of the whole entire movie in general, and in the cast and as well. I didn't even think he acted great in it. I don't blame the actor, I don't blame him, but that is just my opinion. Now, the pacing of the story I thought was great, I thought was fine. I didn't have any issue. I didn't think, that it started off slow and then had to pick up and then went slow and dragged. No, the pacing was absolutely fine in this movie, but it was just more the story that didn't really seem so interesting to me. I was actually more interested in the whole romantic, thing that was going on between MJ and Peter Parker. I thought that was really cool. I thought that was sweet. I love that whole thing between them two. And, the little necklace and everything that he went and bought her, and he had the tin, always with him and everything. And he was saying to Happy, like, if I don't get to give this to MJ, would you give it to her? And he was like, no, you give it to her yourself. I thought that was lovely. I thought the whole chemistry between Peter Parker and Happy was fantastic. I really, really liked that whole, sort of closeness that them two had together, especially, with Tony Stark, dying in Endgame. My issue really was the whole Mysterio thing, because he was doing everything because he wanted to be seen as, the most powerful, and for everybody to praise him, and everybody should praise him. But hold on a second, what I was missing was, okay, so what if something really serious happens in the world, like something really, really bad, right? What's he going to do? What would Mysterio actually do? And also, I can remember in one of my trailer reactions, I reacted to all the trailers for this movie, and I remember saying that it's probably likely that because it's Mysterio, he's going to be a good guy maybe at the start, and then he could turn bad. That was my thought, and I was right, and he did. He scammed him. The story did start out fairly well, which was kind of the thing that kind of bothered me, because it started out so well, and they even referred to different Earths and things like that, and they were talking about, the snap tearing a hole in the universe, and they were even bringing up things like Thor. Even Peter Parker was on the phone, and it was to Aunt May, and he was even saying, talking about Doctor Strange or something like that. Jon Favreau is very likeable in pretty much all the roles that he plays, and I absolutely love him in Friends. I always just see him as the guy from Friends, and of course he's did a lot of work for Star Wars, like the Clone Wars and all that there, and I just loved the chemistry and the funniness that was going on and the flirting going on between Happy, I was going to say Jon Favreau, but either way, Jon Favreau, Happy, and Aunt May. I really liked that. I thought Nick Fury was great in the movie, and especially in the beginning, and I want to talk about the elementals because the elementals looked absolutely brilliant visually. At the start of the movie, with all the elementals, that was absolutely visually the best part of the whole entire movie. So if I want to say what was my favourite part of the movie visually, I would say at the beginning with the elementals. Wow, that's like really cool looking, that's fantastic. The whole way through, aside from the start, there was just little parts where I was thinking, do you know what, although that does look good and I'm happy with how this is looking, I think Marvel could do just a little bit better. I just thought that Mysterio's agenda, sort of like taking over Tony Stark's tech, was very blah to me. His whole motivation behind it seemed a wee bit odd and just And the reason why, here's why guys. Mysterio is from Earth, so if he was snapped, right, he would have been dead. So therefore Tony, then when he would have re-snapped everybody back, he would have then been brought back, Mysterio, right? So then therefore in that instance, Tony Stark would have actually have saved Mysterio's life. Then secondly, he didn't actually get snapped. So, okay, he's lived during those past 5 years. So yes, you could sort of look at that and think, well, okay, so he's been angered, he's been triggered that time, okay, for those 5 years. And he's wanting to get revenge on Tony Stark. But even at that, if you could look at it in that sort of a, you know, a sense, that actually wasn't explained. It just explained that everybody from the visual effects, you know, from Tony Stark's industry was sacked, and that was the motivation. Like, I could understand, you know, that sort of showed the whole thing where, you know, Tony Stark was standing on stage and, you know, he was sort of standing behind the stage and he sort of felt, you know, like betrayed by Tony Stark or whatever, right? I get it, I get where they were kind of trying to go, but to me it was just like, okay, he hates Tony Stark, he wants revenge. So to me, is it just me guys, or is that just basically not Iron Man 3? And if you haven't seen Iron Man 3, watch Iron Man 3 and then you can come back and let me know if it was basically Iron Man 3. The romance side, as was saying, with Spider-Man and MJ, I really, really loved that and thought it was so cute and adorable. I found the whole movie very funny, very cheesy, which to me is Marvel and to me is Spider-Man. Tom Holland portrays Spider-Man absolutely perfect to a T. I've said this many times, and I think Tom Holland's awesome and I can't wait to see future movies of his. He's actually going to be in a movie called The Current War with my favourite Marvel character, Doctor Strange. The whole Edith Glasses thing with, you know, those scenes with Peter Parker, I actually liked, I really did, and especially the part where they were travelling on the bus. I thought that was so cool and absolutely hilarious. And location wise, I am so excited to talk about, guys. I could not wait to get to this part because wow, was that a treat for me. 3 of the places that they actually went to location wise in this movie, I have actually been to in the past sort of 2.5, 3 years. And the one that I was most excited about, the most freaking excited about, was Prague. They went to Prague and they went onto the Charles Bridge, and you see there where Charles Bridge is. I actually was on a boat, a 1 hour boat, and I went right under that bridge last November, and I actually stood exactly where, well not exactly where, but maybe like a difference of a few feet or 10 feet, 20 feet, where MJ and Peter Parker were standing on the actual Charles Bridge, where they like had like a kiss. Eventually. I've not been to many places, guys, but that place was absolutely stunning and it is so beautiful and romantic and gothic looking. And I was standing there one night and it was dark. I just came back from the castle and you could see the moon and the stars and everything. They were in Berlin. I went to Berlin 2 Christmases ago. It is stunning. They went to London. I was in London. And I went to the Harry Potter Museum last year. And I also want to quickly say, before I move on from the locations, was when there was a whole like sort of the, you know, the fighting and everything that was going on, when Mysterio was tricking him, and there was like a fairground. I'm pretty sure that was where, yeah it is, it's Town Square you call that, and there's like a clock tower, and all those scenes visually I thought was brilliant. I really, really enjoyed that. I would have enjoyed it anyway, but because I went to Prague it was even more amazing. And I'm like, I was there, at the top, I went to the very top of that clock tower, so it was almost like I was just watching the whole entire thing on that location part, thinking I was at all these places, even the streets and everything. I was like, I actually walked those streets. That street's like round the corner from where my hotel was. My funniest jokes in this was when Spider-Man was saying to Mysterio towards the beginning of the movie, I can't remember exactly what it was he said, but he said something and I'm sticky. And I'm like, oh my gosh, they went there. I love about Marvel, they take risks with cheesy jokes, but they're always on point with the movie. And I've always said this, guys, that Marvel are always on point with their humour. What I loved was when Nick Fury said to Peter Parker, if another person touches that door, there's going to be another funeral. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. Now, parts that I hated, and I just outright did not like, was something I really wanted to touch upon on this review because I thought it was distasteful. And yeah, it was when Mysterio took Spider-Man to the gravestone of Tony Stark, and especially with what happened in Endgame, I thought it was very distasteful. I don't think Stan Lee would have given the go-ahead about that, but not only that, it was when, and obviously I know it wasn't really, he was just messing with his head, I get that, guys, but then when he was sort of like coming up out of the grave and like moving toward him, almost like something out of a freaking Thriller music video. Michael Jackson's my favourite, by the way, just thought I would add that in. So I thought that was so distasteful and just absolutely outright sick and horrible and condescending. Did not like that, and here's why. Especially after Happy and, you know, Spider-Man sitting, or Peter Parker, whatever you want to call, sitting having on the plane this lovely, you know, chats and conversations about how much, you know, they loved Tony Stark and how much they meant to him and all this lovely, you know, talks. And then they go ahead and they contradict themselves by doing that. And also that their part at the beginning, you know, with the whole Marvel Studios coming up, Whitney Houston, I Will Always Love You. Love that song, by the way. But, you know, it just didn't work for me. And then they were showing pictures of Vision and Black Widow and, you know, Iron Man, kind of like a, oh, you know, well, you know, this is a nice tribute and everything, you know, we're trying to show respect here. No, you've completely outdone anything you were trying to do there. Even if I could kind of go, oh, well, oh, I kind of thought to myself, although it's not for me, I get it. They're trying to pay a tribute. Okay, that's nice. Well done, Marvel. Well done. But then you goddamn well went and freaking well darn messed it up by doing that part at the graveyard scene. Again, I know it wasn't real, it was only trickery, whatever, but it's still disrespectful. Sorry, Marvel, but yous really did mess up. Mysterio, to me, kind of was disappointing. You know, as much as I like Jake Gyllenhaal, not saying anything bad about him as an actor, it's not his fault, I think it's down to Marvel. But I don't know, I thought that him and Spider-Man really would have shone in this movie. And I thought that Mysterio actually might have been one of my favourite things off the movie, but sadly it wasn't. And, you know, I'm okay with that because I did like the movie overall, and I thought the rest of the story was good. I thought the rest of it was more than interesting for me to hold my attention, and my attention definitely was held, and I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. But yes, I mean, the scenes with him and Spider-Man, you know, before he actually conned him and, you know, had, you know, been playing him basically, up to that point, he was fantastic. Honestly, he was doing superbly. But then after that, his character just went from like here to just, no, I'm sorry, mate. I just couldn't. And the end credits really bothered me. They've now disinterested me about another Spider-Man film. Kind of maybe disinterested me in Marvel quite a bit. Especially with just things as of late, to be honest. Both end credits were just gosh darn stupid. What did anybody else think? I don't know. And giving out Spider-Man's name? Mysterio giving out Spider-Man's name at the end. You're like, really? What? Why? I don't know. I doubt Stan Lee would have been okay with giving the end credits the go-ahead. And the other part with Nick Fury, I was just sitting like screaming my face up like, this is really lazy writing. And what is up with these end credits? I don't know. And then, I know it's kind of silly because I kind of forgot to say this, guys, and I'm pretty much at the end of the review now. But I thought Ned breaking up with that girl that he was with, I thought that was kind of like, what was the point in that? The whole way through the movie, everybody in my cinema screen, I don't know about anybody else, plus me, found that hilarious, them two being together. It was just so funny. And then He's just like, oh yeah, we just broke up at the very end of the movie. Okay. Ugh, whatever. I don't care. Anyhow, overall, Tom Holland obviously stole the show. I mean, the movie is called Spider-Man Far From Home at the end of the day, so it's fine for, you know, Tom Holland to shine. And he's a fantastic young actor. He's brilliant, and, you know, well done, Tom Holland. Congratulations, you did a brilliant movie. I really loved MJ in it. I really loved Jon Favreau. Yeah, everyone was great. The cast was great, but I'm so sorry. Mysterio just didn't. Once he changed, it just kind of. I lost the interest in that storyline. I was interested in the storyline with Mysterio and Spider-Man right up to then, but then I just couldn't keep my interest in him. But that was kind of okay, because I still enjoyed the other sides of the movie. Does that make sense? And I was enjoying the visuals and everything, and yeah. So that's where I'm going to leave this, guys. I'm going to give it something out of 10. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm going to give it spider webs out of 10, right? So how many spider webs would Julie give this movie, Spider-Man Far From Home, out of 10? I would give it 6.5 spider webs out of 10. So let me know in the comments below how many spider webs out of 10 you would give this movie. Thanks so much for watching, and until my next video, don't forget that the force will be with you always.